Good morning, everybody. Try that again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you all doing? Welcome to EUC Forum Edinburgh, summer edition, and we've even got the weather. I think really nice weather. Thanks all for coming. Got a great day ahead of us, full of EUC related content. As always, thanks to these guys. These guys pay for these events because that allows you not to, basically. We're trying to keep these events free to attend. So thank you to all the sponsors. A bunch of them are out there. I've got sponsors Nigel, Google, and a few of the other guys. So do go and have a chat with them.
Sorry. Okay, already.
That's always one. As I said, all out there, so thank you very much. Also thanks to Zilliam who have kindly stepped in and recording the day for us in terms of videos and stuff, so thanks to those guys for helping out. All the sessions will be on YouTube channel, and we'll obviously distribute the slides on the website afterwards. So, a whole bunch of great speakers today from all the major vendors and some community sessions as well. So we've got a great mix of content for you. Hopefully you'll have and learn a few things. Who we are, so I'm sure if you don't know us by now, these are our steering group. A few of us are here today, myself, Neil, and Lee. Jim might look us at some point when he drags himself out of bed. He was on the beers last night, so standard fare, yeah. A number of ways you can engage with us on social medias. So we're on Blue Sky, X, and LinkedIn. If you want to talk or present a useful case study at a future meeting, there's a button on the top of the website called Submit Your Session. It goes to our sessionised form. We'd love to have you speak at any of our future meetings. If you've got an interesting project, case study, something that you've written, I want to tell the world about, do submit it, because the world should know. As I've already mentioned, we have a YouTube channel. So a lot of our previous meetings are on there from the last 2 years probably, and there's selected sessions from older. Like I say, we are recording today in both rooms, so we've got 2 tracks running today. So we've got tons and tons of content. The other room is turn left and then left again, and it's called San Francisco. It's all signposted. You won't get lost. Future events. So we do 3 events a year. This is event number 2. So our 3rd event will be on the 11th of November in London. We've got the IT headquarters, Institute of Electronic, something like that. IT. I don't know. It's some institute, right? It's a really nice building, overlooks the Thames in London. Got a beautiful little roof terrace. It's very nice. We'll probably have a social event around autumn or Christmas as well, so keep an eye on that as well. Any excuse for this is the same link to submit your session, so if you've got an idea, you can scan this, but again, this will be on the slides. The link is on our website as well. So, agenda for today, we have an app. If you don't have the app and you want to see what's happening, scan one of these 2 QR codes, depending on if you're an iPhone fanboy or a Google fanboy. I'm in the Google camp personally. So that's got all the agenda. You can add to your agenda. This is also where we gather the session feedback, so we do want your feedback on the event and the sessions. All the presenters today will value your honest feedback. So please do submit feedback where you can. It does help us improve these events and make them what you want to see.
But if you don't have it, you don't get the layout.
So the app also has gamification. So you have points. So our sponsors will have QR codes. So if you go and talk to a sponsor and maybe offer to buy that product, they will let you scan their little QR code. You'll get points. What do points make? Come on, you can't all be that young, surely. If you're old as me, you know what that means, right? There is a prize for the highest scoring participant. Our presenters today have also got QR codes, so if you attend their session and they show the QR code in the session, do scan it, because that will give you points as well in the app. So, all clear. Gamification, points, prizes, feedback. Sorted. Right. We do a little bit of industry news at the start. And then we've got our major EUC vendors here who are going to do like 10 minutes each on what's happening in their world. So Citrix, Microsoft, NISA and AWS. And then we've got other sessions obviously after that. So just some highlights that we've kind of picked out from what's happening over the last few months. So a few of the European agencies, like for example the Dutch government, are kind of getting a bit like nervous around the dependence on some of the large US hyperscale, not mentioning any names, who that might be. And obviously they're looking to like diversify their dependence on some of those. I don't know any large enterprises who probably not completely dependent on Microsoft or Entra these days. If that Entra ever went down, then what would the world do? Right? No one would stop. No one would be able to log in. Literally everything would stop. So I don't know. That's a bit of a scary situation. So Microsoft are enforcing Teams updates, and this actually hit us recently because we had to roll back one of our AVD images due to some other nice things Microsoft did with the marketplace image. And that meant that the version of Teams that we had in that image was more than 90 days old, and that also then stopped working. So be aware of that. There are some new checks in Teams that it just basically says, please update Teams, it's too old, which can be problematic if you don't have a process updating it yourself and you use an image-based deployment. I'm sure you all know, Microsoft's been banging on around this for ages. Windows 10's end of life, 2025. If you're not in the process of upgrading, please start. Anyone who's not thought about that yet, hopefully everyone's kind of like, yeah, I've got it all sorted. I've done it. Anyone not done it? You've all upgraded to Windows 11. So well behaved. So, yeah, in the process of, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Myself, we're about a third of the way into our project, but we have got 26,000 devices to do, so a fair amount to do yet. All good fun. Logging VSI has acquired Hydra. Lee might talk more about that at some point, or go and see his understanding. He can show you all what Hydra is about. AVD kind of layering on top and managing your infrastructure. Pretty cool stuff. Google has bought a company called Wiz, who I'd never heard of. Apparently they're a massive security company, and Google have paid a lot of money for them. Google are here, out there, so I'm sure they'll talk about that if you're interested. And let's rise at Open for Work Friends. I think this is a reflection of changes in vendors downsizing their EUC spaces. So there seems to be like more and more people looking for work recently. I don't know. Maybe if you know of any opportunities in your companies and you see other people who work, obviously we're a community, so we like to help each other out where possible. If you have an opportunity that you think will be relevant to the market, do let us know, and obviously we can circulate that to our networks. And hopefully get you some good candidates without you having to go through recruitment and things like that. So, up next we have our 3 vendors. Who's first? Microsoft. So, Tom. So thank you, Tom.
4 vendors.
4 vendors, sorry.
There's an asterisk next to Omnissa.
I don't know why there's an asterisk next to Omnissa. I didn't put it there, so I don't know why it's there. But let's see. You're saying Tom's got a hot bottom? Yes.
Moistures.
Nothing loose.
Yeah. Everyone's slides. Hey, who's here? 5. Click on. There we go. Awesome.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks, Tom.
Good morning, everyone. So my name's Tom Hickling from Microsoft. I've done this slot for some time now. Every single time I've always overrun, so Neil, apologies for that. Hopefully this is going to be within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's been quite a fallow last 3 months or so for Microsoft. We are saving up a lot for Ignite in November. So the next one of these will probably be back to my normal 20 minutes. So yes, I'm just going to very, very briefly run through what's new in the world of Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktops. It's just a whistle-stop tour of the few things that we have released recently, both in public preview and GA. So the first one is in public previews, this thing called RDP Multipath. So for some, I guess probably been about 2 or 3 years, we've had RDP Short Path, which introduced UDP connectivity from wherever you are through to your AVD session hosts or Windows 365 Cloud PCs. We've now got this ability via this protocol called SMILE, Simple Multiple Independent Link Evaluation Switching, rolls off the tongue, which is all about...
Smiles is better.
Smiles is much better. It's all about providing multiple connections or multiple paths through from wherever you are through to your VM in Azure. So we've got the traditional original route via our AVD gateway infrastructure. We've got UDP via Stun, as well as UDP via Turn, which relies upon this Turn server set of infrastructure. If a single route goes down, we can reconnect you via another route, and it's being constantly monitored. And in fact, what actually happens is we open up one session through to your VM, and then two, in this case two, but it could be multiple sort of silent connections that are ready to accept a connection if we detect that another route has become significantly more optimal. And optimal pretty much means latency, but it includes a few other things. So it's all about resiliency for your connections to improve the reliability of your connection. So I just mentioned Turn. Turn is this mechanism of establishing a UDP connection via this relay infrastructure. So Windows 365 and AVD have transitioned to our own set of these Turn relays. Previously, we were piggybacking on the back of Teams infrastructure. So every Teams call would have gone through this original set of Turn relays all across the globe. We've now got our own dedicated infrastructure just for Windows 365 and AVD. And I think we were, last week we were at 41, this week we're already at 48 instances of this around the globe. You do need a new IP address to bypass to be able to get to this set of infrastructure, so look at that in the documentation. If you listened to me before, you would have heard me mention this term, like local, all about trying to create a like local experience in Windows 365 and AVD compared to a physical device. So connecting through remotely should be the same experience, if not better, hopefully, in the future. So this set of infrastructure is one small part of that overall larger initiative. So this is that global Turn relay set of infrastructure. So we've got this infrastructure all around the globe. Now this is one of the things that we don't really talk about in this community because it's kind of networking. It's not an EUC feature. But just to give it, I suppose, some context, who was around when there was the protocol wars between Citrix and all of us? This kind of augments that discussion or that argument and moves it more to like a global network level of conversation. So the Microsoft backbone that connects all of Azure is the second largest network on the planet. And what's not shown on here is our edge locations. So we've got over 350 edge locations dotted all around the globe in major cities. That's the entry point to that Microsoft network. So you could be anywhere on the globe and you'll get low latency connection to that front door, we call it, which then onboards you into this set of infrastructure specifically for Windows 365 and AVD. So for example, if you've got developers in India who you have to have CPCs in that location and they're in the UK, you've got very low latency access to that front door, to this Turn infrastructure, and then we route your connection over to India. And crucially, coming back as well. And that's all on this massive high-speed network, avoiding obviously the internet or any other sort of independent network connections, all provided as a service. So this provides this reliable low latency connection for all of your AVD and Windows 365 connections. So the protocol itself, while still obviously very important, and I'm sure there will be arguments about which is best, will go on, it's actually now more dependent upon having a high-speed global planetary scale network. Okay, moving on then. So GPU acceleration. So we've released high efficiency video calling, or H.265. Hopefully this little video plays just to show some GPU rendering. But basically it's all about improving the visualization of high intensity graphics. So we now support 60 frames per second, 4K video, and you can now see this in the connection details of your connection. So somewhat of an improvement. Okay, this was a very minor thing. lots of customers have been asking for it. This is the ability to have multiple personal AVD host boards or desktops presented to the same user. Kind of sounds a bit Mickey Mouse, but we didn't have this for some time. Kind of sat on this feature, but lots and lots of customers were asking for it, and lots of customers love it. So yeah, but prior to this, you had to create multiple host boards to be able to give the same user multiple desktops of the same type. So now you can just assign the same user any number of individual session hosts inside of a personal AVD host.
Does that mean you have to do a similar thing with the files?
Not necessarily. You can, there is a way that you can do that. But you need multiple licenses, unfortunately. And you would need multiple provisions. So it is kind of the same problem. But we don't tend to see the same use case so much in Linux 365, although there obviously is an overlap there. We'll take that feature request. Okay, we've also got another initiative in Microsoft besides this like local, which is sort of Windows Cloud specific. This is very much a Microsoft initiative called SFI, Secure Future Initiative, all about obviously increasing security end-to-end across basically every product. There's parts of that that have come down to Windows 365 AD, so we've increased security sort of transparently in the protocol, all this kind of stuff, but some of these things serve up to customers. So device redirection, there used to be a set of defaults which a lot of the things were on. So we would, by default, redirecting drives, etc. Coming in July or August, that's effectively all being switched off. Everything is not configured, not redirected, etc., etc. This reset to defaults, which used to reset to the non-secure set of configurations, now finally resets to the most secure possible set of configurations. So yeah, that will be coming in July or August. Okay, there's another thing, we're releasing a lot of new databases. So when you go and create a host pool inside of AVD, you get a set of locations that you can go and create what we refer to as the metadata. This does contain some user identifiable information like IP addresses, locations, app group names, app names, as well as the relationship between who this app is being presented to. So there is usernames there. So we have a small set of locations that this can be deployed into. You might have, if you were watching back, I think it was last September, we had a slight outage with one of these databases in the US, and some people lost the ability to connect, unfortunately. So what we're doing is rolling out a whole load more of these globally. This list will effectively be, hopefully, probably by a year, close to parity with a number of Azure regions that we have. So we've got around 60, and that is growing. Probably in 5 years' time, we'll be near to about 100 of these regions. And this list, we're trying to keep up with that. So you'll basically be able to choose every single country where there is an Azure region for data sovereignty. Some improvements with the Windows app for web. So the Windows app is effectively our one single client for access into Cloud PCs and AVD. Just some minor updates to that capability, so you can now launch remote apps from inside of an existing remote app inside of a browser, rather than have to go back to your browser tab with all the files. All of the icons already there. So you're already in Excel remote app, and you can go and launch any other remote app you might want. And you can, if you do have the Windows app locally, then you can launch that directly by clicking on the drop down. There's another button that says connect in the desktop app, and then that will obviously launch the full Windows app. Have I got in 10 minutes? Good. All right. There we go. Thank you very much.
Citrix next, I think.
That's fine. Let's just keep it warm.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just think last time I was in Edinburgh was about 18 months ago. It was a cold and windy February. I didn't feel very well. My wife was 6 months pregnant. It didn't go well as a trip. This time it's June, the sun's out, I'm at the EUC forum, so I'm in a much better mood this morning than last time. But yeah, good to be with you all again. Just a few things, many of which you'll have already heard about, but I wanted to try give a bit more detail into some of the recent announcements, things that have been going on in Citrix. Many of you will be aware we're moving to a new release cadence for the Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops CVAD product. Previously, we had LTSR long-term support releases every 2 years. The feedback we got was that the continuous releases were a lot of disruption, sometimes didn't have the confidence to deploy them in enterprises. But by the time it came to an LTSR release, there were so many new features and changes in that new one that particularly the VDA upgrade would become a pain point. So in response to that, we're moving to a model of 3 releases every year, 2 of which being the normal CR continuous releases, 1 in Q1, 1 in Q4, and then in the middle of the year, every year, having an LTSR release that will roll up those changes and allow you to have that confidence with a 3-year support lifecycle associated with that. So we're hoping that that meets some of the requirements. We'll be able to see many of you making use of those new features much more frequently, much more earlier, and with less disruption. And of course, that means that we're currently working up towards our first LTSR under this new model. The early access release is available now in the downloads website, so do go ahead to citrix.com/downloads and make the most of that early access release. Start testing it out in your environments. As many of you will be aware, over the past year, Citrix has made a whole lot of mergers and acquisitions to try and add a lot of value to the Citrix platform, and this is the time I want to use just to go a level deeper with you to just give some demos and some examples of the ways that those really add value to the Citrix platform. So the 4 primary acquisitions were Unicorn, thin client operating system, their EUC OS, along with the associated alias management tools. A strong network, which provides the cloud development environment for your developers. And device trust, all about enhancing that contextual security, continuously evaluating your end clients and machines to ensure security. And of course, Uber Agent for that monitoring across all of your clients, your VDAs, your hosting infrastructure. And all of these fully included in your Citrix platform license and UHMC licenses. But looking specifically at Unicorn, I've got a little demo here put together by Javier, who's been here before, and some of you will know personally. Just showing to begin with how Unicorn can be used alongside your Citrix environment. So in this video, we have here a Windows 10 device, which, as we all know, is going end of life in October, installed on a NUC here. And so what Javier has done here is using bootable media, prepared a portable version of EUC and plugging it into his NUC device here, previously running Windows 10. He's able to reboot. It starts booting into the Unicorn OS. But what he's actually done is gone ahead and configured that Unicorn OS with our boot to VDI feature, which means that rather than booting into the local OS, it immediately launches that HDX connection up to his, in this case, a Windows 365 desktop. And so as he starts up the device, previously running Windows 10, it's booted off that Unicorn device, it's connected up to the Windows 365 environment, and he's able to authenticate straight to the Citrix Workspace app. And so that Intel NUC that he had previously running Windows 10 is still immediately usable. If any of you have some last-minute scrambles to get off of Windows 10, this seems like the solution for many of you. So you'll see Javier's lovely face there. And of course, when he disconnects his HDX connection, it drops that connection and will immediately shut down the device. Then if he later needs to go back and wants to re-image that NUC, he can still do that on the local device. So here he takes out that USB and is able to boot back into Windows 10. I don't want to skip over there the boot to VDI feature, which is something that else that came out earlier this year, and along with the desktop lock, allows you to use that in with the Citrix Workspace and with the Unicorn environment to, as we say, boot directly to that VDA and have that desktop lock. And that'll be coming to more client devices in the client operating systems and devices in the future. So that's just a quick demo of Unicorn, so you can see some of how that brings a lot of value to your existing Citrix environment. The other demo I kind of wanted to walk through with you here was a bit more about device trust. This continuous evaluation, continually evaluating the security posture of your client machines and of the environment in which it's in. So we'll see a really quick demo here of a connection to a Windows 365. And this time Javier is trying different approaches to lower the security posture of his client device. And we'll see that the continuous evaluation means that he's not able to pursue any of these things. So here we have our HDX connection. The first thing he's doing is just trying to insert a USB to his local device. And of course, as soon as he does that, our policy is evaluating, see that pop up, and it locks his access. He can still do what he wants on his local machine, but it's against his policies that he's configured, and so the access is denied to the remote desktop. This time, just trying to take a screenshot of some private information within the remote desktop. What you'll also see is that while he is in violation of the policy, there is a timer going. This time he's turning off the virus protection. There is a timer going, you see a little red bar loading on the disconnect there. And of course, if that expires, then he loses his connection entirely, rather than just being blocked. The final thing he does here is just try and turn off the Windows Defender firewall, and again, that's violating the policy. And so he's immediately locked out of his remote desktop. So hopefully that's just another useful insight into the way that device trust has really added a lot to the Citrix platform license and UHMC licenses, which you already have fully included there. The next thing I want to highlight is the new partnership that we have with our friends at Google, who I'm also pleased to see are here as well. Citrix with Chrome Enterprise Premium. And of course, this is about seeing the way in which our enterprise software is evolving. Windows apps are here to stay, but as we're seeing more and more, and Citrix has always been about delivering those Windows apps, but we're seeing more and more of those modern web-based apps being common in our enterprises. And so we're really pleased to be able to partner to include, again, Citrix Citrix platform license to include the Chrome Enterprise Premium, as well as in the UHMC and licenses. So this is using Citrix's secure private access existing ZTNA solution, but combining that with Chrome to provide that enterprise level data loss protection, and of course that familiar browser that I don't think anyone here has not touched Chrome. So you see those two prongs to the Citrix solution there. We have traditional HDX sidecar for delivering your Windows-based apps and desktops. But for those modern web SaaS apps, we can have Chrome Enterprise Browser combined with the Citrix Secure Access Agent to deliver a secure solution end-to-end, right from the browser to the app. And just finally, I just want to highlight a few other recent features and things that you'll have seen coming out. I already mentioned that boot to the API. We saw that in combination with Unicorn. You can do that with other clients, along with the desktop lock enhancements. You'll also maybe have seen recently the power state support showing on the Citrix Workspace app. This is for your end users. When they open the Citrix Workspace app, they can see the power state of their desktop. And that's just about setting expectations. If the machine is in hibernate, if it's shut down, if it's rebooting, then we don't want our users opening support tickets for a long boot time when it's just operations happening on the back end. This is a big deal for me because we're using the hibernate feature in Azure, and so when I come in on a Monday, it always takes a long time to boot my machine the first time, and so it just lets me know that, okay, I better go and get a copy at this point rather than sitting here waiting for it. We continue to grow our partnership with Microsoft as well, supporting Windows 365 Frontline and GPU-enabled instances over the HDX connection. Protocols do matter, and making the most of that partnership that we have. And finally, just wanted to highlight service continuity. This is about resiliency in case that your IDP goes down or Citrix DAS service goes down. service continuity now available for your connectorless deployments. If you have moved to that using the Citrix Workspace app, Citrix Workspace service, and with a connectorless environment, service continuity is there to provide that resiliency for your users. And final quick video I just wanted to show you was about intra-ID sign-on, single sign-on for Windows 365 and AD with Citrix, but with no FAS. I remember talking about this, raising this as something on the roadmap a few years ago, and I'm pleased to say that that is targeted for GA later this year, and hopefully this video will give us a sneak preview of that in progress. So again, Javier here launching ABD and a Cloud PC and Windows 365 desktop here. He's authenticated to Citrix Workspace here using his Intra ID. And you see he gets that SSO experience straight through to the desktops. There's no FAS involved in this, none of that extra overhead maintaining that PKI infrastructure. And what he'll quickly just show you here is that it's AAD joined to these machines, and that there is a PRT present, so he can continue getting that SSO through to his Office apps and other apps which require that SSO with PRT. Similarly, Teams here is automatically logged on with that PRT. So yes, targeting GA for that by the end of this year. So do keep an eye out, and hopefully that will bring a lot of that into your environments as well. So I'll just leave this up at the end. Just a reminder that there are these monthly TechWire updates. This is one of the best places to see all the details of what's new, what's next in Citrix. May 1 is out a few weeks ago. June 1 will be a few weeks' time. So do keep on top of those, and feel free to come and speak to me at any point today about anything Citrix. Thank you.
Right, storming through, and everyone's good to time. Well done, everybody. Fantastic. Omnissa next. Oh, Omnissa. There we are.
I thought we were something between us, but
Well, we've got AWS on this, so toss a coin for Azure here. 5.
one left. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Matt Evans from
Near the mic.
Omnissa. I have done this before. Not. Does everyone know who Omnissa are? First off, so just to reiterate, we were what was the EUC division from VMware. We divested in July last year to a private equity company, and just to be very clear, we have no affiliation to Broadcom in terms of ownership. That's something that still comes up. People still think it's a division of Broadcom, but completely separated. In terms of updates today, I'm going to talk a little bit about our at-volumes technologies and changes we've made there, some recent announcements around hypervisor support, and then finally sort of an area we've been investing quite heavily in around sort of digital employee experience monitoring. Okay, so in terms of access to the environments, our core solutions are Horizon, which is our VDI offering, and Workspace with UEM, which is our MDM and UEM sort of device management tool. What sits in front of those two solutions is Intelligent Hub. Hub allows us to aggregate a single app catalog, which will be made up of applications coming from our Horizon platform, so our VDI platform, which can be on-prem or cloud-based. Whether that's native applications or applications being delivered by this at-volumes technology, which I'll talk about in terms of an update, as well as SaaS apps, web apps, and native applications. So when I say native, if you're on an iPhone, you go to the app catalog, you'll see iOS applications. Likewise, if you're on Android, you'll just see the Android applications. If you're on a Windows device, you'll just see the Windows apps. So we provide that single, there we will say it, pane of glass for you to access all those applications. Moving on to at-volumes, where we are today. At-volumes was initially a technology that we developed to deliver applications into our Horizon desktops. And what that allowed us to do is separate the app from the OS, so lifecycle management became a lot easier, but also we could drive down storage requirements. Those applications are shared by many users, therefore you don't have huge images for everyone that contain all the applications. They're mounted at logon time. The change that maybe not everyone's familiar with is that we've actually developed and extended the technology to support, obviously, those platforms you can see there on the screen. So it doesn't mean that if you want to use App Volumes or Dynamic Environment Manager, the accompanying kind of user profile and app config tool, that you have to do that within Horizon. You can see there, it could be native AVD, it could be Citrix, it could be Amazon Workspaces, it could be any other. More recently, we've then added support for physical machines as well. So what that means is that when we create these app volumes packages, or the app packages, we can then also convert them to MSIs and then deliver them with our own Workspace ONE UEM technology or Intune or another PCLM tool that will support MSI delivery. So that really just allows you to sort of standardise on an app packaging solution and methodology, and then deploy that out to both the virtual and physical, which is something I've struggled to do in the past. Okay. Next up in terms of announcements was, if everyone saw it, in May we announced a partnership relationship with Nutanix, so we'll be supporting AHV as an alternative on-prem, the hypervisor. So we are talking to them about cloud offerings as well, but fundamentally that just gives us an alternative to where we are today. Obviously, being originally a VMware company, our focus was very much on vSphere prior to us moving out to the cloud and delivering natively in Azure and on VMC-based clouds. On VMware-based clouds like VMC. What this allows us to do is obviously then leverage an alternative for on-prem. That's just gone into beta at the moment, and GA should be sort of later this year. And then finally, in terms of updates, we've been doing quite a lot of work around sort of our DEX platform. So initially, like many things, that was aimed at the physical market and continued developed and now supports the virtual environment as well. So what that will allow us to do is start to look at not just sort of create custom dashboards and reports, but look at top 10 physical device issues, top 10 mobile app issues, top 10 app issues, and then start to sort of drill down and resolve some of those, whether it's through sort of guided root cause analysis, whether it's through automation. We have an engine within the DEX platform called Freestyle, which allows you to create your own workflows. So it's just again another example. Here we're looking at all the apps in the environment. We kind of aggregate all the versions. So if you've got multiple versions of the app, we can consolidate them to a single line to show how that app is generally performing, and then we can break down by version if required. This is just, again, another example of a screenshot. We're actually looking at a specific device. So we're looking at a timeline for the device and then seeing what has changed, whether it's app changes, whether it's network disconnects, issues, so forth. As I said, this was very much aimed at the physical environments. We're linked into the Windows telemetry service to pull us the data, but we've developed our own services to then again branch this out to the virtual environment as well, so we can do something very similar, whether it be a Horizon session. The one thing that's wanted to mention is that, again, it's probably a common misconception, is that this is just aimed at Horizon or Workspace ONE UEM devices, which isn't the case. You could also deploy our agent in what we call a registered mode. So that's where we're not managing the device. So if you had a fleet of Windows devices managed by Intune, you can still take advantage of the DEX platform, as I say, by just using this registered mode. So you don't actually have to do any sort of device management. One dashboard that we just recently added as well is software metering. So in here, we can pull a report of all the applications running in the environment, whether they're managed or unmanaged, so you can start to get visibility of apps that people may be downloading and installing, whether that's on physical, mobile, or virtual. We can then start to look at things like optimization, so that would be reduction of licensing. So in that model, we can look at the applications, we can look at who's actually consuming them, and then using that freestyle workflow that I mentioned, we can put an orchestration in place. So what that would look like is a user gets notified and says, you're entitled to application XYZ, you've not used it for 45 days, there's a cost involved with that for licensing. If you don't use it within 90 days, we will remove the app from your device, and then obviously the clock starts ticking, and if they don't use the app, after that 90 days, we can then send them an email, a notification through Intelligent Hub, whatever you want to do, and then it will basically remove that for them and reclaim the license. The other part to this dashboard is the comparison. So where you do have applications in an environment that do the same job, which I'm pretty sure we all do. I mean, we use Teams, Slack, and everything else. So what you could do is you could say, okay, well, let's actually do a comparison of, say, Teams and Zoom and see which tool everyone's using. Maybe everyone's telling you that they use Zoom, but the reality is 70% are using Teams. So in that case, again, you could sort of decommission an application. Again, just another example of some of the work we're doing around, again, that app lifecycle management and licensing. That was the main things I wanted to cover. So,
Right. Last but no means least, we have AWS. Sorry, Fisher, for having everything on one at once. Thanks, sir. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. My name is Pete Fergus. I'm the EUC Solutions Architect at AWS. So I'm going to assume that not everyone in the room is 100% familiar with what AWS are offering within the EUC space. So if we can just level set for 1 second in terms of the services that we have in the EUC toolkit, just so everyone can be on the same page in terms of what we're doing within the EUC today. So starting with virtual desktops, we have Amazon Workspaces Core. Amazon Workspaces Core is essentially just a set of APIs that we enable for third-party VDI providers, and through those APIs, those third-party VDI providers can do the IaaS piece with us. So the virtual desktops and the underlying virtual infrastructure is hosted with AWS Workspaces. But customers persist with their protocol of choice, be that HTTPS or Blast, as well as the third-party VDI provider control plane and admin plane. So currently we have a number of third-party providers on board. We have Citrix, we have Omnissa, we have VeloStream and Workspot, and we're going to scale that up over the next 12 to 18 months. But Workspaces Core is something that we're seeing getting increased traction with customers that want to either burst into the cloud or have a DR situation hosted with us. Moving on, we've got our traditional Amazon Workspaces with Workspaces Personal, which is your one-to-one dedicated desktop in the cloud. So everyone in the room is familiar with what this looks like. It's essentially a laptop in the cloud. You log in, it's dedicated to the user for a lifetime, and that user will directly, whatever changes they make, persist between the sessions. And last year we onboarded a non-persistent offering in the form of Workspaces Pools. So Workspaces Pools, you create a custom image and store your applications, and from that curated image, you spin out your non-persistent pool of virtual desktops. Additionally, we have our own secure browser offering in the form of Workspaces Secure Browser. And essentially, this is just a managed Chrome image in the cloud. So we manage and patch that Chrome image up to date. When you provision that host, it's built on an Amazon Linux 2 EC2 instance. And it acts as an entry point into existing SaaS applications or internal websites that you're hosting either on-prem or within your AWS VPC. And lastly, we have AppStream 2.0, which is our traditional application streaming service, similar to something like Citrix NetApp, where we stream the application only, so we're not provisioning the full desktop. You're getting the look and feel of an application that's running locally on your endpoint. This is a non-persistent offering as well, so the underlying EC2 host is blown away and recreated from custom image at the end of your session. So in terms of what we've done within the last quarter, we've launched 2 new bundle types based off customer sentiments. So the kind of idea behind Workspaces to differentiate us when we started out was to have a very simple approach in terms of provisioning, very much a t-shirt size fitting when selecting a hardware profile. Over the course of the last couple of years, the sentiment of customers is more and more choice. So we're onboarding more compute options. So this quarter we've onboarded 4x large and 8x large with 16 BCP and 64 gig and 32 BCP and 128 gig. We've also got Chrome Enterprise Recommended Certified. So we are now optimized to plug into the Chrome ecosystem, such as Chrome OS Flex, and Chrome Browser. And with Windows 10 coming end of life at the end of October, we're seeing an increasing number of customers looking to refurbish those aging hardware endpoints with the likes of Chrome OS Flex to plugging into, for example, a Windows 11 workspace running M365 Office. We've also extended certificate-based authentication to upstream multi-session feeds. So certificate-based authentication is CVAs or an equivalent of Citrix FAS, where we're using smart card certificates on the desktop to avoid the double login situation. This is available across all our other EUC services and offerings. I've just extended that now to include upstream 2.0 multi-session. And we've also onboarded an additional running mode with workspaces pools. So there's two running modes: on demand and always on. Always on, the underlying project is always running, so the connection into that desktop is instantaneous. On demand is the cost saving option where you can spin or provision those virtual desktops and then put in a stop state to save on cost. We've also provided support for AWS Global Accelerators. So Global Accelerator is a networking service where we have 106 points of presence in the globe, and it's essentially an entry point into the AWS backbone. So for customers that are geographically constrained or located far away from workspaces or a region, this is just a backdoor into our backbone to access our gateways and endpoints to remove that latency requirements. So Global Accelerator is now available for workspaces first. And lastly, we've gone GA in Paris region, so we're now running out of 18 regions for EUC, so Paris, and we're going to be onboarding new regions over the next 12 to 18 months. Paris region is now GA. So moving on from what we've done in terms of feature releases, I just wanted to touch on one of the services that we're seeing increasing traction with, and it's building our relationship with Citrix. And this is Citrix DAS and Workspaces Core. So increasingly we're seeing customers that may want to extend the data center, and they may want to build out a disaster recovery solution in the AWS cloud, or they may wish to co-locate applications beside the virtual desktops. And Citrix DAS and Workspaces Core offers that capability. So we will provide the APIs, the underlying virtual desktops will be hosted with us, but for organizations that want to persist with HDX and all the features and benefits that come with it, they can stick with that HDX protocol and persist with the same Citrix SAS control plane and admin plane for provisioning. And it's a very quick and easy means of getting persistent desktops. It takes advantage of flat rate billing, and there's also discounted compute rates and reduce the billing price by 20%. To take into account the customers are bringing their own protocol in the form of HDX, so there's reduced pricing on that. And there's also a mechanism of getting M365 licenses off the desktop. So today, as it stands, Amazon Workspaces is the only AWS service where you can bring your own M365 license to the desktop. So you can do an NEC2, so if that's one of your requirements, you can do it today with M365. So a lot of the customers we're dealing with can try and consider Citrix on EC2, for example, as an option, or due to that M365 limitation, we'll then pivot and look at Citrix on Workspaces Core. In terms of standing this up, it's a very quick and easy 5-step deployment approach. You first create a Citrix Cloud resource using 2 cloud connectors stood up on EC2. They register in the Cloud Console. You would connect your AWS account to Citrix Cloud using a custom IAM role. The IAM role is just a role you create within your AWS account and gives your Citrix account permissions to make the necessary API calls for provisioning. You then stand up what's known as an AD connector within AWS, and that's just an authentication proxy and a container that contains the metadata for your deployments in Amazon Workspaces. And then you import an image across from AWS into Citrix console. So the image would be a BYOL Windows 11 image, for example, into which you install a VDA, or you can take advantage of one of the pre-baked Windows Server images that we provide. And with those pieces in place, then you just run through a quick deploy in the Citrix console to stand up your machine catalogs and do use.
I've got one question. Is there any like in schedule, something that you want to also offer Windows 11 images out of the box, or is it like legalized, not possible?
Today it's BYOL, so we don't have native desktop images available within the AWS ecosystem. So if you wish to, you can ingest existing Windows 11 ISO, for example, but you will have pre-baked AWS AMI for Windows 10. And lastly, I just want to wrap up on what's coming next. So I had hoped this would be on GA by today, but it's touched at the end of next week. But we are expecting a new iteration of Workspaces Core, and essentially this new iteration or new platform will bridge the gap between self-hosted VDI and DAS. So a lot of the sentiment that we're getting from customers is as simple and as nice as Workspaces is, a lot of customers out there want more levers to pull and more opportunities to make configurations, and also to lean in to a lot of the AWS native services that we provide today, like Systems Manager, etc. So with this new release, it's going to be built on top of the EC2 managed instance model. So they're going to expose a lot of that compute into your customer account, and with that you'll be able to take advantages of existing services within AWS that you can use to monitor and manage, and also be able to take advantage of cost-saving mechanisms that are available today with EC2, such as reserved instances and saving plans. So that's about all I can share on this today, but if you just tune into our EUC latest news, we should have some news dropping on this by the end of next week. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Right, so we've got, I think, 5 minutes to take a very brief look at some around the grounds news. Just a couple of slides on this. So I think there's no one. Literally have one. Was that from current slide? Okay. So obviously there are other vendors in the marketplace. So they've got Parallels, Chasm. We've just kind of like done a very brief update of what those guys have been up to as well. Again, these will be in the slides, just to make you aware that that there is more than just the 4 big EC vendors doing stuff and innovating in the market. Also got Dizion and Aporto as well. Again, the smaller guys have the ability to move a little bit quicker than some of the big guys. So you do kind of see a lot of fast innovation around those as well. And last but not least, Cameo and Nerdio. I think Nerdio are next door as well, so you can have a chat to those if you're interested in what they're doing with AVD and stuff like that.